Obviously, we started off the night with the quarterback talk. Let's give Teddy Bridgewater his flowers. Before the game, I was not happy that they were starting him. It had nothing to do with how well he could possibly play. I just wasn't a big fan of seeing a quarterback who just gotten signed, pretty rusty in my opinion, throwing, possible hospital balls to my wide receiver. And I ended up jinxing it because right then and there, he threw a ball that was pretty high, pretty dangerous. J-Mac somehow comes down with it. He ends up, it looks like it's all precautionary. He's going to be good. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to be okay, hopefully. But other than that, Stank, he fucking had a hell of a night. He played pretty damn well, looked like a veteran quarterback, guy who's been in the league, and not necessarily in this offense, but he's been in the league. He understood what he was doing. He got out of pressure a couple of times. And is it, I mean, are we really talking about a quarterback two battle now?
Yeah, we are. We absolutely are. I think we keep 3 quarterbacks regardless, so it's a moot point. Hopefully Baker never has to come out, so we don't even have to ever go down that road. But yes, right now, I think Kyle has to bounce back and show that, he's not just going to let some guy waltz in here with 2 weeks experience and take his job. You know what? But that's this locker room right here. Baker walked onto a team and played that night, right? So if you think about it from that angle, like, Kyle, bro, you got to get your shit together because you got quarterbacks who are ready at any, at the drop of a hat to come in here and perform. And you shit the bed, sir. You did. I can't defend you. All right.
Here's the thing, Stank.
You called me to apologize that night. I didn't answer. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
So here's the thing. So there's this, do you keep the guy who knows the system and he's been here for 4 years, 3 in the system? Or do you go with the guy who's actually played meaningful minutes and had time on the field, years of experience, and he may not, have all the intangibles that a Kyle Trask might have, or the ability to, throw the ball as deep or maybe even as hard. He's got the experience. So do you take that, or do you take the guy who's been here? Do you take the guy that kind of has seen all, the what you could expect kitchen sink wise getting thrown at him? That's a question. We're gonna find out. And in limited practice time, he did look good, man. He did look good. And so if you think about it, you could bring in a veteran guy and be like, you're throwing to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, Jalen McMillan, Tez Johnson. You got Bucky, you got Rashad, you got Cade Otton. You got all these weapons, and you could just be an average veteran quarterback, and you're probably going to do well. So it does speak volumes that they even thought about this with Kyle Trask in the building. So I do agree with you. I think Kyle Trask really does need to watch his ass.
Well, remember, Jason is a big fan of Teddy, right? He even came out this week and said he was what's behind door number 2. I think we all knew that. I think he said it before, but just to remind everybody, that was who we were going to sign if Tom decided to go somewhere else. We would have had, Teddy Two Gloves take us to the Super Bowl and win it at home. And it doesn't matter who we had in there, honestly. We give all the credit to that guy, but Teddy would have taken us in the exact same experience. He probably might have been better, honestly, if we're going to have that discussion, which I don't think we are. Can somebody remind me, did we keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster last year, or did we only have 2?
We had 3, but I think they let Wolford go later on.
Yeah, but I think they have that designation where there's a game day emergency quarterback, but I don't know if it doesn't actually count against the 53. There's a whole thing there. And so if I'm going to guess, I would still think Kyle is the QB2, but they somehow keep Teddy Bridgewater as that emergency practice squad guy. I think if he's on the 53-man roster, he also counts against the cap, which I don't think they want him to, or he's guaranteed money or something like that. I can't remember who tweeted something like that earlier on in the preseason. But it's good to have a guy like that. Let's say something happened to Baker, knock on wood. You kind of feel like you'd lean towards the dude who's seen those bullets and has been out there, as opposed to the guy who maybe hasn't. And I do like the ability to bring in a guy who can at least move a little bit better than Kyle, because Baker does move and he does save the offensive line at times. And, the offensive line, although it was preseason, obviously not a lot of game planning. They didn't move them around too much in terms of schematic stuff. So I don't know how they looked a little shaky. But I think that you would lean towards Teddy Bridgewater in that scenario if something happened to Baker.
Yeah. I also read somewhere or heard somebody say, I can't remember where I heard it, but that it's likely Teddy gets cut and then re-signed like at week 1, just because of his rostered designation and how what it means because he's a veteran, guaranteed money and all this shit. So don't be surprised if that's the case. And it's probably something, agreed to before it happens with Jason and his agent. Because I don't see Teddy going anywhere else. He's a Florida guy. He's on the, retired essentially. And now he has this opportunity land in his lap where he can get behind the wheel of a fucking F1 race car that's ready to win. Versus, having to do this again. So, I think it's mutually beneficial that he plays ball with his team and does what's right. And I don't see them getting rid of Kyle. We can joke all we want, but they've invested a lot in the kid. He looked good last week, looked terrible this week behind a really bad line. And just, I don't know, it just devolved into what everybody claims he is, which I think he's better than that, honestly.
So, Audrew08999 super chat. Thank you so much. He writes, Kyle deserved those first team reps. He has never had that chance. He would have looked like a modern day Peyton Manning. Had he been with the ones, he had no time to throw the ball with that terrible O-line. I will say he had no time to throw the ball, but to tell me that Kyle deserved anything would tell me that he's out there on a practice field week in and week out for how many years now, and nobody's watching him. Because if you deserve anything, coaches and GMs just aren't in the business of not trying to win with any way, with anybody they have available to them. The fact that he hasn't gotten those opportunities speaks to what they see in the kid on their own. Now, not to say that somebody else doesn't look at him and say, oh, there's untapped potential there. Like if he were to be cut, if he wasn't Dave Canales' first, phone call. But I don't think anybody deserves anything. I think you earn things on the practice field. You earn things in team meetings. You earn things in the huddle and showcasing how your teammates react and respond to you. So while I understand the sentiment, he doesn't deserve shit. If you're not getting something, you have not earned it in the NFL. That's just how it works. There's no politics going on in this locker room. Baker obviously won that job when he won that job, but they re-signed him because he knows the system. And that's really what kind of worked in his favor to be here still at this point. He knows the system. They feel like he's a capable backup if something were to happen. And then at some point, something changed. And they said, maybe we have a chance to bring in a vet. And that's where the Teddy Bridgewater enters the equation. So we'll see how that all plays out.
We need another arm. And then the whole weird shit that happened with Teddy and coaching and the money scandal. I think it just was like kind of the perfect storm because the guy that they intended to be the fourth arm in the rotation ended up getting hurt and didn't get a chance to play. So Teddy came in kind of in a one of those weird coincidences, and you never know, that could have been fortuitous for us. Hopefully, like I said, we're having this discussion for absolutely no fucking reason.
No reason.
Because Baker starts every game this season and neither of these guys see the field. So I don't know. We'll see.